So let's begin our final Y5 Mini-Mock 5 walkthrough.
So now I'm going to be going through the answers to the MVR section of Mini-Mock. And all the questions in this MVR section are all code questions. So for code questions, what I like to do is find two of the boxes that have a letter in common in the same position in the code, and then find out what shape or pattern or color or image they have in common as well. So the first one, box 2 and 3 both have a Q as the first letter, and they are both circles. Box 1 and 4 are both triangles, and box 1 has a Z as the first letter. So here we will also have a Z as the first letter. Then box 1 and 2 both have an R as the second letter, and they are both grey. And then 3 and 4 both have this checkered pattern, and the second letter here is an M, so the second letter here will be an M. ZM, so the answer is A. Next question. So box 1 and 3 both have a J as the first letter, and they both have a black arrow. Box 2 and 4 have a grey arrow. The first letter here is a K, so the first letter here will be a K. Then 1 and 2 both have an L as the second letter, and they both have this upside down heart shape, whereas 3 and 4 both have a right way up heart. The second letter here is an M, so the second letter here will be an M, KM, so the answer is C. Next question. 1 and 3 both have an M as the first letter, and they both have this arrow shape that looks more like a Z kind of. And then 2 and 4 both have this one that's more in the opposite direction, like an S. And the first letter here is a K. The first letter here will also be a K. So the only one with a K as the first letter is D, so we know that the answer has got to be D. Next question. So 1 and 3 both have a Z as the first letter, and they both have this square with a circle in here. 2 and 4 both have a square with no circle in. The first letter here is a Y, so the first letter here will also be a Y. Now to the second letter. So 1 and 2 both have an E as the second letter, and they both have a triangle with a circle in, whereas 3 and 4 both have a triangle with no circle in. The second letter here is an F, so the second letter here will also be an F, YF. So the answer has got to be D. Next question. So here, 2 and 3 both have an S as the first letter, and as you can see, they both have this smiley face that has a triangle shape as a nose, whereas 1 and 4 don't have anything nose shape triangle in the middle of the smiley face. So the first letter here was a T, the first letter here will also be a T. Then on to the second letter. 1 and 3 both have a K as the second letter, and they both have the square folded up in the right corner, whereas 2 and 4 both have it folded up in the left corner. So the second letter here is an L, so the second letter here will also be an L. So the answer is B. So next question. So here, 1 and 3 both have a T as the first letter, and they both have a black star, whereas 2 and 4 both have a grey one. The first letter here is a U, so the first letter here will also be a U. So the answer has got to be B, as that's the only one with a U as the first letter. Now to this question. So here, 2 and 3 both have an X as the first letter, and they both have 2 circles. 4 also has 2 circles, so we know that X will be the first letter. Then, for the second letter, as you can see, all 3 boxes have a different second letter, G, F and H, and they also all have this shape as being different. So, the one in box 4 matches the one in box 1. So the second letter here is G, so the second letter here will be a G, X, G, so the answer is C. So, on to this question. So, 1 and 3 both have a G as the first letter. And they both have 4 vertical lines. Whereas 2 and 4 both have 3 vertical lines. And the first letter here is a H, so the first letter here will also be a H. Now on to the second letter. So 1 and 2 both have an I as the second letter, and they both have 2 horizontal lines. 3 has 1, and so does 4. The second letter here is a J, so the second letter here will be a J. HJ, so the answer is B. Next question. So here, 1 and 3 will have an R as the first letter. And what they have in common is that this part of the shape is grey, whereas 2 and 4 both have this part as being black. So the first letter here will match this one, so it's an S here, so it'll be an S here. Next letter. So 2 and 3 both have a P as the second letter. And they both have this part as, this rectangle part as black. Whereas 1 and 4 both have it as being grey. The second letter here is an M. The second letter here will be an M as well. SM. So the answer is C. Next question. 2 and 3 both have a Q as the first letter. And they both have this 9 looking shape. Whereas 1 and 4 both have this 8 looking shape. The first letter here is a P. The first letter here will also be a P. 1 and 3 both have an M as the second letter. And they both have this arrow that's pointing towards the bottom left corner. And then 2 has this arrow that's pointing in the opposite way, in the bottom right corner. And the second letter here is an L. As you can see, in 4, the arrow is completely different. So, here, the letter can't be an L or an M. So, well, we know the first letter's got to be a P, so we can rule out A. We know it can't be an L because it's not the same as the arrow in box 2. And we know it's not D because the first letter's got to be a P. So the answer's got to be C, because the second letter here is an S, and we know that the arrow is different from the other two. Now to section 2. So here as you can see, these two both have a J as the first letter, and they both have a white shape. And as you can see, this is a G and it has a striped shape. The test shape also has a striped shape, so we know the first letter has got to be a G. Now on to the second letter. So these two both have a H, and they both have the shape looking like that. Whereas this one is that way, same as the test shape. So the second letter will match this one, K. G, K. So the answer is C. Next question. These two both have a P as the first letter, and they both have these shapes. This test shape matches this one. The first letter here is a Q, so we know the first letter will be a Q. These two both have an R as the second letter, and they are both white or unstriped. And then this one is striped, same as the test shape. The second letter here is a K, so we know the second letter here will be a K, QK, so the answer is D. Now to this one, where there's 4 now instead of 3. So these two both have a Q as the first letter, and they both have this square shape with the arrow. So we know the first letter determines what shape it is. So as you can see, this shape is the same as this one. The first letter here is a K, so we know that the first letter will be a K. Now to the second letter. So they have all got different second letters, and as you can see, their lines inside of them are all in different directions. So the top ones were horizontal, these were diagonal from the left to the right, these were vertical, and then these were diagonal from the bottom left to the top right. So they match. So this one, the stripes match this one. The second letter here is a G. The second letter here is a G, KG, so the answer is D. So in this one, these two both have an O as the first letter, and they both have a dotted outline of the shape. The test shape also has a dotted outline, so the first letter will be an O. Then on to the second letter. So all of them have a different second letter, and they are also all different shapes. So the first one's a triangle, then it's an arrow, then it's a pentagon. So the test shape is this arrow shape, which is the same here. So the second letter here is an R, so we know the second letter here will also be an R. OR, the answer is C. Question 15. So these two both have a G as the first letter, and they are both arrows. The test shape is this sort of arrow shape, different, the same as the first one. So the first letter here is an R. The first letter here will also be an R. These two both have an F as the second letter, and they both have stripes. This one is unstriped, and so is this one. So the second letter here is a Q, so the second letter here will be a Q. RQ, so the answer is D. Now to this question. So these two both have an S as the first letter, and they both have the shape orientated this way. the test shape is orientated that way, the same as this one. The first letter here is a P, the first letter here will be a P. So looking at the answer options, we already know that the answer will be E, because that's the only one with a P as the first letter. So we don't even have to go through the second letter. Then on to question 17. So here, these two both have a J as the first letter, and they both have this dotted outline, whereas the test shape is a straight unbroken line, the same as this one. The first letter here was an R, the first letter here will also be an R. These two both have a D as the second letter, and they both have the fold in the top left corner, whereas the test shape has the fold in the bottom right corner, same as this one. So the second letter here was an F, so we know the second letter here will also be an F. So the answer is B, RF. Question 18. So here, so all three of them have a different first letter. So let's look at the second letter. So these two both have a P as the second letter, and they both have a shape that is, the inside shape is unstriped, as you can see, whereas the test shape is striped, the same as this one, and the second letter here was an F. So the second letter here will also be an F, so we can rule out all those options. So now we've got to decide whether the first letter will be an I or a P. So the first letter must determine what the bigger shape is, because all these three have a different first letter and all these three outside shapes are different. So the outside shape here is a pentagon, same as this one. So the first letter here is an I, the first letter here will be an I. IF, so the answer is A. Now on to this question. Now it's a 3-letter code. So these two both have a W as the first letter, and they both have this size of pentagon. As you can see, the test shape is also the same size, so the first letter will be a W. The ones with the O are a smaller shape. Now on to the second letter. So here, these two both have an E as the second letter, and they both have a straight unbroken line, as you can see. In the test shape is also a straight unbroken line, so the second letter will be a E. And now on to the third letter. So these three both have an R as the third letter, and as you can see, the point of the pentagon is on the right here, whereas in this one it's on the left, same here. So the third letter will match this one, so it'll be a H. W-A-E-H, so the answer is A. Next question. So they all have a different first letter. So the second letter, these two will have a D, and as you can see, they both have a white circle shape on the inside, whereas the test shape has a black one, same as this one. So the second letter here is an L, the second letter here will also be an L. Now onto the first letter. They all have a different first letter, and as you can see, the orientation of the shape is different in all of them. So we've got to find the one that matches the test shape. So it's like this here, same as this one. So the first letter here was an S, so the first letter here will be an S, SL, so the answer is D. Now on to question 21. So these two both have an M as the first letter, and they both don't have any circle on the inside. The test shape does, same as this one. The first letter here is an L, the first letter will be an L. These two both have a P as the second letter, and they are both circles. The test shape is a hexagon, same as this one. The second letter is a Q. LQ, the answer is D. Now to this question. These two both have a J as the first letter, and as you can see, the last two shapes are both the same size, with the first shape being bigger, whereas in the test shape the middle shape is smaller and then this one is slightly bigger. It matches the same pattern as this one. The first letter here is a K. The first letter here will be a K. So now on to the second letter. So they've all got there's three different second letters here, and as you can see there's three different shapes used here. So the test shapes is the same as this one. So and the second letter here is an L. KL, the answer is D. Then on to question 23. So there's three different first letters, but these two both have an M as the second letter. And as you can see, the overlap of the circles is the one that's shaded in. So yeah. So whereas in the test shape, in the test shape, it's shaded in black. So, but it's the other two circles are also shaded in here. So let's look at the first letters now instead, because the first letters are all different here, and what's also different is the shading pattern. So as you can see here, I'm going to do this question again. So in this one, these two both have an M as the second letter, and they both have the overlap of the circles shaded in. Same here. So the second letter will be an M. Then onto the first letter, all three of them have a different first letter. So, but the shading pattern of the circles matches this one. Sorry, actually for this one, I've got that wrong, So these two both have an M as the second letter, and they both have these two circles as being white. Whereas in in the test shape, they're shaded in, same as this one. So the second letter will be an N. And then all three of them have a different first letter. That's because the overlined bit that's shaded in is a different colour in each of them. So in this one is black, and that matches this one. So the first letter here is a Z, ZN, so the answer is E. Now to the next question. So this is a black triangle, same as this one. G here, so the answer's got to be G, so the answer is B. This question, these two both have an X as the first letter, and they both have this shape, whereas the test shape is the same as this one. The first letter here is a Y, the first letter here will also be a Y. The second letter, these two both have a J as the second letter, and these are both this size, whereas this is a smaller size, same as this. The second letter here is a K, YK, the answer is C. Now to this question. So these two both have a J as the first letter, and they are both triangles, whereas this is a hexagon, same as this one. So the first letter will be a K. Now to the second letter. These two both have an M as the second letter, and as you can see, they both have two shapes, one shape inside of the other, whereas this is just one shape and this is just one shape. So the second letter here is an L, the second letter here will be an L. Now on to the third letter. So these two are have both got an F as the third letter, and they are both black shapes, and so is this one. So the third letter here will be an F, KLF, so the answer is A. As you can see, this was a white shape and that had a H, so that's why there's an F, not a H. Now to this question. These two both have an F as the first letter, and they both have a square on the inside, whereas the ones with the G, they don't have a square on the inside. The test shape does have a square on the inside, so the first letter will be an F. These two both have a J as the second letter, and they both have this black circle thing in the top right corner. The one in the test shape is in the bottom left corner, same as this one. The second letter here is an L, the second letter here will be an F, L, FL, so the answer is A. Next question. So these two both have an X as the first letter, and as you can see, the pentagon is this way up in both of them, whereas in the test shape it's upside down, same as this one. So the first letter will be a Y. Second letter, these two both have a G as the second letter, and they both have this part as being white, whereas this has an F as the second letter and this has a striped top part. So this also has a white top part, so it will be a G as the second letter. Now for the third letter. These two both have a J as the third letter, and as you can see, they both only have one line going through the pentagon, whereas this has two. The test shape also has two, so the third letter will be a K. YGK, the answer is A. In this question, they've all got a different first letter, but these two both have a P as the second letter. And as you can see, they both have this inside circle being white, whereas these two both have the circle being black, and they both have an O as the second letter. The test shape also has a black inside circle, so the second letter will be an O. Now the reason the first letter is different in all of them, because the orientation of the shape is different in all of them. Here it's pointing here, then like that, then like that, then like that. In the test shape, it's facing upwards like that, and that matches this one. So the first letter here is an L, the first letter here will be an L. L-O, the answer is B. Now on to question 30. So here, all these three both have an X as the first letter. And as you can see, if you zoom in closely, they both have this pi symbol on the inside, and it's the right way up like that. Whereas in this one, it's upside down. It's like that. That's why that has a Y as the first letter. In the test shape, it's the right way up, so the first letter will be an X. Now to the second letter. They've all got a different second letter, so let's move on to the third letter. These two both have an R as the third letter, sorry. And they both have the same size shape, whereas these two are both smaller. So the third letter here will be an R, because this is also, will be an R, because this is the same size shape as these ones. Then on to the second letter. So the reason the second letter is different in all of them is because the outside shape is different for all of them. So here, this shape matches this one, and the second letter is an N. So XNR, the answer is D. Actually, sorry for this one. So the first letter, these three all have an X as the first letter, and that determines whether the pi is the right way up, or in this one, it's upside down. That had a Y. So in this one, it's the right way up, so it'll have an X as the first letter. Then on to the third letter, as they've all got a different second letter. These two both have an R as the third letter, and they both have this sort of shape around the two. So they have like three shapes. They have two shapes around the pie, a circle, and then this outside shape, and then this one has this shape. Whereas the ones with the S as a third letter, they've only got one shape around the pie symbol. So in the test shape, we do have two shapes around the pie, same as these two. So the third letter will be an R. Now for the second letter. So all four of them have a different second letter. So the second letter determines what the shape around the pie symbol is. So in this one, it's this rhombus shape, same as this one. The second letter here is an M, the second letter here will be an M. XMR. So the answer is E. Now on to the next question. So these two both have an S as the first letter. And they both have the two lines as a cross overlapping each other in the middle, like to form this shape. In the test shape, it's like this, which matches this one. And the first letter here is a T. So the first letter will be a T here. Now to the second letter. These two both have an A as the second letter. And they both have a white and a black and a white circle. Whereas in the test shape, we've got two white circles, which is the same as this one. So the second letter here is a C. So the second letter here will also be a C. So the answer is D, because that has TC. Then on to this question. These two both have a G as the first letter. And as you can see, they both have three shapes that are on the right side of the box. The test shape, they're on the left side of the box, same as here. The first letter here is an F, so the first letter here will also be an F. Now on to the second letter. These two both have a W as the second letter, and all three shapes are black. In the test shape, two are black and one is white. So here, two are black and one is white, same as this one. And the second letter here is a Z, so the second letter here will be a Z. FZ, the answer is A. In this question, so there's three different first letters, but these two both have an F as the second letter. And these both have one vertical line with two horizontal lines, whereas the test shape has one vertical line with three horizontal lines, same as this one. The second letter here is a G, so the second letter here will be a G. Now the first letter is different in all of them because we've got three different shapes. So we've got a circle, then we've got a square, then we've got a hexagon. So this is a circle, which matches this one. And the first letter here is a K. So it's going to be a K, KG. So the answer is E. Next question. So these two both have a D as the first letter, and they both have three hearts in the middle of the box, same as this one. So the D will be the first letter. D. Then they've all got three different second letters, and that's because they've got a different number of grey hearts. So in this one we've got two grey hearts, same as this one, that has an X as the second letter. DX, the answer is A. In this question, so these two both have a U as the first letter, and they both have two lines. In the test shape we've got three lines, same as in this one, and the first letter here is an X. So the first letter here will be an X as well. Now to the second letter. These two both have an R as the second letter, and they both have a grey circles. So in the test shape we've got a white circle, same as this one, and the second letter here is a T. The second letter here will be a T. xt, the answer is E. Now on to this question. So these two both have a C as the first letter, and they both have two shapes. The test shape has got one, same as this one, so the first letter will be a D. Now on to the second letter. So these two both have a P as the second letter, and they both have a grey shape. The test shape is white, same as this one. Second letter here is an S, the second letter here will be an S, DS, the answer is D. Question 37. These two both have an F as the first letter, and they both have three shapes that are vertical, Test shape is horizontal, same here. So the first letter will be an E. Then on to the second letter. So they've got three different second letters, and that's because we've got three different shapes: a triangle, a square, and a circle. These are circles, match this one. So the second letter here is a P, E, P, the answer is E. Question 38. So here these two both have a C as the first letter. And they both have a black inside shape, whereas the test shape has a white inside shape, same as this one. The first letter here is a D, the first letter here will also be a D. Second letter, there's three different second letters, and that's because of the thickness of this outside square. So the one that matches this one is this one, and that has a Z. DZ, the answer is A. Question 39. Three different first letters, but these two both have a V as the second letter, and they both have a grey arrow. The test shape is striped, and that has a W, so the second letter will be a W. First letter is different because the arrows are all pointing in different directions. So this arrow is pointing up like that, which matches this one. So the first letter will be an O, O-W. The answer is D. Now to the final question. So here they've all got different first letters, but these two both have a P as the second letter, and they both have a triangle. The test shape has a square, same as this one, so the second letter will be an R. Now on to the first letter. So the reason why the first letter is different in all of them is because of the position of the inside black shape. So in the test shape, it's in the top right corner, same as this one. So the first letter will be an E. ER, the answer is D. So that was the final question. Thanks.
On the verbal reasoning section, and specifically substitution. Question 1. If A equals 8, B equals 12, C equals 16, D equals 4, E equals 20, what is C divided by D plus B? Our options are A, B, B, C, C, D, D, E, E. The correct answer is C. Let's break it down. C is 16, D is 4, and B is 12. First, we solve C divided by D. 16 divided by 4 equals 4. Then we add B, which is 12. So 4 plus 12 equals 16. 16 matches the value of C, which means C is the correct answer. Why are the others wrong? A is 8. That's too low. B is 12. Not enough. D is 4. That's only the first step. E is 20. too high. Question 2. If A equals 10, B equals 11, C equals 7, D equals 4, E equals 2, what is E times B, C, D equals? Our options are A, B, C, D, E. The correct answer is B. Here's how we get there. E is 2, B is 11, C is 7, and D is 4. First, we multiply E times B. 2 times 11 is 22. Then, we subtract C, which is 7. 22 minus 7 is 15. Next, subtract D, which is 4. 15 minus 4 is 11. 11 is the value of B, so B is our answer. Let's see why the others don't work. A is 10. Close, but not quite enough. C is 7. That was a number we subtracted. D is 4, also subtracted. E is 2. Way too low. Question 3. If A equals 5, B equals 10, C equals 2, D equals 20, E equals 17, what is A times C plus B equals? Our options are A, B, C, D, E. The correct answer is D. Let's solve this. A is 5 and C is 2. We multiply them. 5 times 2 equals 10. Then we add B, which is 10. 10 plus 10 equals 20. 20 is the value of D, making D the correct answer. What about the other options? A is 5. Too low. B is 10. That's what we added. C is 2. We used it in the multiplication. E is 17. It's close, but not quite right. Question 4. If A equals 100, B equals 50, C equals 20, D equals 10, E equals 120, what is D times C, B, A equals? Our options are A, B, C, D, E. The correct answer is B. Let's calculate. D is 10 and C is 20. 10 times 20 is 200. Subtract B, which is 50. 200 minus 50 is 150. Now, subtract A, which is 100. 150 minus 100 leaves us with 50. 50 is the value of B, so the answer is B. Why not the others? A is 100. We subtracted that. C is 20. Too low. D is 10. We used it in the first step. E is 120. Too high. Question 5. If A equals 2, B equals 6, C equals 18, D equals 24, E equals 12, what is A times E plus B, C equals? Our options are A, B, C, D, E. The correct answer is E. Here's the breakdown. A is 2 and E is 12. 2 times 12 is 24. Add B, which is 6. 24 plus 6 is 30. Subtract C, which is 18. 30 minus 18 equals 12. 12 matches the value of E, so E is the correct answer. Why aren't the others correct? A is too small. B is 6, not the final result. C is 18. That was subtracted. D is 24. That was a step along the way. Question 6. If A equals 2, B equals 4, C equals 24, D equals 16, E equals 3, what is B times E times A equals? Our options are A, B, C, D, E. The correct answer is C. Let's find out why. B is 4, E is 3, and A is 2. Let's multiply. 4 times 3 is 12, and 12 times 2 is 24. That matches the value of C, so C is our answer. Why not the other options? A is 2, not the final result. B is 4. We used it in the multiplication. D is 16, too low. E is 3, part of the calculation, but not the final value. Question 7. If A equals 4, B equals 2, C equals 0, D equals 3, E equals 7, what is B times C times B plus D equals? Our options are A, B, C, D, E. The correct answer is D. Okay, let's solve it. B is 2 and C is 0. 2 times 0 is 0. Now multiply by B again. 0. Add D, which is 3. 0 plus 3 equals 3. 3 is the value of D, so D is the correct answer. Why not the others? A is 4. Too high. B is 2. used in the process. C is 0. That was a step along the way. E is 7. Not part of this problem. Question 8. If A equals 20, B equals 4, C equals 16, D equals 12, and E equals 5, work out A divided by B, then multiplied by E, then minus E. Which letter matches the answer? Here are your options. A, B, B, C, C, D, D, E, E. The correct answer is A. Now, let's break this down step by step. We're going to take it really slow so you can follow along. First, we need to do A divided by B. A is 20 and B is 4. So 20 divided by 4 is 5. Next, we're going to multiply by E. E is 5, so we multiply 5 by 5, and that gives us 25. Finally, we need to minus E. So we take 25 and minus 5, which gets us back to 20. The question asks, which letter matches the answer? And since 20 is the value of A, the answer is A. Let's see why the other answers are incorrect. B is worth 4. That's too small. C is worth 16. That doesn't match our result. D is worth 12. Also too small. E is worth 5. While that number was part of our calculation, it's not the final answer. Question 9. If A equals 24, B equals 8, C equals 20, D equals 16, and E equals 4, work out C minus E plus B minus C. Which letter matches the answer? Options: A, B, B, C, C, D, D, E, E. The correct answer is E. Let's do the math. We're going to start with C minus E. C is 20 and E is 4. So 20 minus 4 is 16. Next, we add B. B is 8, so 16 plus 8 is 24. Now we subtract C. C is 20, so 24 minus 20 is 4. The question is, which letter matches the answer? And 4 is the value of E, so the answer is E. Here's why the other options aren't correct. A is worth 24. We found 24 as we were working through the problem, but it's not our final answer. B is 8, which is too big. C is 20. We actually canceled this one out during our steps. D is 16, which is only partway through the calculation. Question 10. If A equals 2, B equals 3, C equals 16, D equals 14, and E equals 7, work out D divided by A, then multiplied by B, then minus E. Which letter matches the answer? Options: A, B, B, C, C, D, D, E, E. The correct answer is D. Let's begin. We need to divide D by A. D is 14 and A is 2. 14 divided by 2 is 7. Now, we multiply by B. B is 3, so 7 multiplied by 3 is 21. Next, we subtract E. E is 7, so 21 minus 7 is 14. The answer we are looking for is the letter that matches our answer, which is 14. 14 is the value of D, so the answer is D. Let's take a look at why the others are incorrect. A is 2. That's far too small. B is 3. That is not the result. C is 16. We never reached 16 in our calculations. E is 7. That was the halfway total. Question 11. Okay, now let's try a different type of question. Series: GY, JX, MW, PV, SU. What comes next? Options: ATV, B versus T, CUT, DUV, EUS. The correct answer is B, which gives us versus T. Let's see how we got there. Look at the first letters. To get from G to J, we have to add 3. To get from J to M, we add 3 again. M to P is plus 3, P to S is plus 3, so the next letter should be S plus 3, which is V. The second letters are moving backward by 1 each time. Y to X, X to W, W to V, V to U, so the next step is U minus 1, which is T. Therefore, VT is option B. Why not the others? A gives TV, which swaps the order of jumps. C gives UT, which keeps the minus 1 but forgets the plus 3. D gives UV, which copies the previous pair. E gives US, which does not follow either rule. Question 12. Here's our next question. Series HL, JN, LP, NR, PT. What comes next? Options: ARV, BSU, CST, DPT, ESV. The correct answer is A, giving RV. Explanation time. Each first letter increases by 2 places. H to J, J to L, L to N, N to P, so P plus 2 is R. Each second letter also increases by 2. L to N, N to P, P to R, R to T, so T plus 2 is V. RV is only in option A. Why not the others? B moves the first letter correctly, but takes the second letter 4 steps. C moves both letters only 1 step. D simply repeats the last pair. E moves the first letter 2, but the second letter 4. Look at question 13. The series we're working with is HP, IO, KM, NJ, RF, and we want to find the next pair in the sequence. Our options are A, WX, B, WZ, C, XA, D, AB, and E, WA. The answer here is E, which gives us WA. Now, how did we arrive at this answer? Well, let's look at the first letters. We see that H plus 1 is I plus 2 is K plus 3 is N plus 4 is R. See the pattern? We're adding 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. So after R, we add 6, which gives us W. Now let's look at the second letters. P minus 1 is O minus 2 is M minus 3 is J minus 4 is F. Again, there's a pattern. We're subtracting 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. So after F, we subtract 6, which gives us A. Therefore, WA appears only in option E, which makes it the correct answer. Now let's consider why the other options are incorrect. Option A, which is WX, moves both letters the wrong distances. Option B, which is WZ, has the correct first letter but the wrong second letter. And options C and D, which are XA and AB, break the minus pattern for the second letters. All right, let's move on to question 14. We have the series GW, DZ, AC, XF, UI, and we need to figure out the next pair. Our options are ARL, BTM, CRM, DSL, and ESM. The correct answer here is A, which gives us RL. So how did we get there? Let's start with the first letters again. We notice that G goes back 3 places to D goes back 3 places to A goes back 3 places to X. Remember, we wrap around the alphabet, X goes back 3 places to U, so U minus 3 is R. Now for the second letters. W goes forward 3 to Z goes forward 3 to C goes forward 3 to F goes forward 3 to I, so I plus 3 is L. This makes RL option A. Now let's see why the other options don't work. Option B, which is TM, moves the first letter 2, not 3. Option C, which is RM, gets the first letter right, but the second letter wrong. And options D and E, which are SL and SM, only move 1 letter correctly. 15. The series we're tackling is A, B, Z, Y, C, D, X, W, E, F, and we need to find the next pair in the sequence. Our options are A, T, V, B versus T, C, U, T, D versus U, and E, US. The correct answer is D, which gives us versus U. Now, how do we get there? Let's look at the first letters. The pattern is -1, +3, -5, +7, and -9. So A to Z is -1, Z to C is +3, C to X is -5, X to E is +7, and E to the next letter would be -9. Now let's examine the second letters. The pattern here is -3, +5, -7, +9, and -11. So B to Y is -3, Y to D is +5, D to W is -7, W to F is +9, and F to the next letter would be -11. Following these patterns, we find that the next pair in the series is VU, which corresponds to option D. Now let's discuss why the other options are incorrect. Options A and C, which are T, V, and UT, break the established patterns we identified. Option B, which is VT, only gets the first letter, V, correct. And finally, option E, which is US, is simply incorrect based on the pattern. Question 16. Our series now is VF, WD, XB, YZ, ZX, and we need to find the next pair. Here are the options. A blank V, B. A blank X, C. B, blank V, D. B, blank X, E. B, blank Z. The correct answer is A, which gives us a blank V. Here's the explanation. The first letters simply move forward by 1 each time. V becomes W, then X, then Y, then Z, and finally A. The second letters move back by 2. F becomes D, then B, then Z, then X, and finally V. So only A blank V fits both of those rules. Why not the others? B has the right first letter, but the second letter is wrong. C and D break one or both of our rules, and E doesn't move either letter correctly. Question 17. Okay, this series is TX, VV, XT, ZR, BP, and we have to figure out the next one. The options are A, D blank O, B, E blank O, C, E blank N, D, D blank N, E blank M. The correct answer here is D, giving us D blank N. Explanation. The first letters jump forward 2, then back 2, and repeat. T plus 2 is V, V plus 2 is X, X plus 2 is Z, Z plus 2 is B, so B plus 2 is D. The second letters jump back 2 each time. X to V to T to R to P, so P minus 2 is N. This means D blank N is option D. Why not the others? A has the first letter right, but the second is wrong. B and C break the -2 rule, and E moves the first letter too far. Question 18. The series now is SY, TW, VU, YS, CQ, and we need to find what comes next. Our options are A, H blank I, B, H blank P, CH blank O, D, G blank P, E, I blank P. The correct answer is C, giving us H blank O. Let's break it down. The first letters add 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. S to T, T to V, V to Y, Y to C, C to H. The second letters drop 2 each time. Y to W, W to U, U to S, S to Q, Q to O. That means H blank O appears only in option C. Why not the others? A keeps the first letter right, but gets the second letter wrong. B keeps the second letter rule, but misses the first letter. D and E break both rules. Question 19. Here's our series. FG, CI, ZK, WM, TO, and we need to find the next pair. Here are the options. A, Q blank P, B, P blank P, CP blank Q, D, Q blank Q, E, O blank P. The correct answer is D, giving us Q blank Q. Explanation. The first letters go back 3. F to C, C to Z, Z to W, W to T, T to Q. The second letters go forward 2. G to I to K, K to M, M to O, O to Q. This means Q blank Q is only in option D. Why not the others? A moves the first letter right, but the second is wrong. B and C break the +2 rule. E moves both letters incorrectly. Question 20. The series for this question is AZZA, XC, UF, QJ, and we need to figure out what comes next. Our options are A, M blank P, B, L blank O, CM blank Q, DM blank M, E, L blank P. The correct answer is B, giving us L blank O. Let's explain. The first letters step back 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. A to Z, Z to X, X to U, U to Q, Q to L. The second letters step forward 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Z to A to C, C to F, F to J, J to O. So L blank O is option B. Why not the others? A has the second letter wrong. C keeps the first rule but not the second. D and E break one or both jumps. Question 21. Here, we need to find the code for the word band. Here are our options. A1, 2, 4, 4, 6, 1. B, 1, 2, 2, 4, 6, 8. C, 1, 2, 4, 4, 6, 8. D, 1, 2, 4, 4, 8, 6. E, 1, 2, 2, 4, 8, 6. The correct answer is C. Explanation time. We need to use the key in the box, which I don't have access to, but I can still explain. B is 1, A is 2, N is 4, E is 6, and D is 8. So the word B-A-N-N-E-D becomes 1, 2, 4, 4, 6, 8. Option C shows exactly that sequence. Why not the others? Option A ends in 1, not 8. Option B doubles the 2, but changes the ending. Option D swaps 6 and 8. And option E repeats the 2 and drops the 6. Questions one by one, nice and slow so we all understand. Question 22. Find the code for the word needle. Our options are A4886678, B477867, C488687, D466786, E466876. The correct answer here is E. Here's why. Looking at our key, N is 4, E is 6, so we have another E which is 6, D is 8, L is 7, and E is 6 again. Putting those together in order, we get 4, 6, 6, 8, 7, 6. And only option E shows us that exact order. Now, let's see why the others don't work. Options A and C get off to a good start, but they put an 8 in too early. Option B mixes up a couple of the numbers, and option D swaps the 7 and the 8. Question 23. Find the word for the code 64211768. Our options are A, enabled, B, blended, C, endorse, D, ladder, E, bobsled. The correct answer is A. Let's break it down. Using the second key, 6 is E, 4 is N, 2 is A, 1 is B, 7 is L, 6 is E, and 8 is D. If we put those letters together, we get E-N-A-B-L-E-D, which spells enabled. So why aren't the others right? Well, B, C, D, and E just don't line up with the digit to letter matching that we have, so they can't possibly decode into 6421768. Question 24. Find the code for the word metal. Our options are A89524, B98425, C98524, D89425, E98542. The correct answer is D. Okay, let's see why. Using the third key, M is 8, E is 9, T is 4, A is 2, and L is 5. So that gives us 89425, which is exactly what we see in option D. What about the other options? Option A swaps the 9 and the 8. Option B starts with 9 instead of 8. Option C puts a 5 where a 4 should be. And option E mixes up the last two numbers. Question 25. Find the code for the word slate. Our options are A51429, B51249, C15249, D15429, E15942. The correct answer is C. All right, let's crack this one. Using the same key, S is 1, L is 5, A is 2, T is 4, and E is 9. That gives us 15249. Option C is our only match here. So what's wrong with the rest? Option A starts with 5 instead of 1. Option B has the 5 and 1, but it doesn't keep them in the correct order. Option D swaps the first two digits. And option E changes the last couple of digits. Question 26. Find the word for the code 182559114. Our options are A, smilers, B, slaloms, C, tallest, D, smallest, E, steamer. The correct answer is D. Let's decode this. Using the next key, 1 is S, 8 is M, 2 is A, 5 is L, 5 is L again, 9 is E, 1 is S, and 4 is T. So that spells out SMALLEST, which makes smallest. And why not the others? Simply put, A, B, C, and E. Just don't decode to the digit string we were given. Question 27. Find the code for the word juggle. Our options are A1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 9. B 1 2 4 4 6 9. C 1 2 6 6 6 4 9. D 1 2 4 4 9 6. E 1 2 6 6 6 9 4. The correct answer is B. Let's see why this is correct. Using the next key, J is 1, U is 2, G is 4, G again is 4, L is 6, and E is 9. So the pattern 1, 2, 4, 4, 6, 9 matches option B and only option B. What about the rest? Option A uses the digit 3, but we don't have a 3 for G. Option C repeats the 6 too many times. Option D swaps the 6 and the 9. And option E just moves the digits around. Question 28. Find the code for the word guests. Our options are A429686, B429858, C492686, D492685, E429585. The correct answer is E. Here's the breakdown. Using the same mapping, G is 4, U is 2, E is 9, S is 5, T is 8, and S is 5 again. So the list 4, 2, 9, 5, 8, 5 only shows up in option E. And the others? Options A and C replace the 5 with a 6. Option B keeps the first 4 digits right, but then messes up the 5th one. And option D changes both the 3rd and 5th digits. Question 29. Find the word for the code 83589. Our options are A, steal, B, tease, C, steak, D, taste, E, stage. The correct answer is D. All right, let's decode this. Using the final key, 8 is T, 3 is A, 5 is S, 8 is T again, and 9 is E. That spells T-A-S-T-E, which is taste. And finally, why aren't the others correct? Well, A, B, C, and E just don't match up with the digit letter translation that we have. Do you have any other questions? Next is our English section. We will be doing a reading comprehension exercise about ethylene gas. Question 1. According to the passage, ethylene gas can be used to ripen fruit blank. I, before it is picked. 2. After it is picked. 3. By farmers only. A. I only. B. I and 2 only. Century 2 and 3 only. DI 2 and 3. The correct answer is B. I and 2 only. Here's why. The passage tells us that fruits naturally release ethylene gas as they ripen, which means it happens before they're picked. And farmers use ethylene gas after harvesting to help the produce ripen. However, the passage doesn't say that only farmers can use it. Let's look at why the other answers aren't right. A. Mentions only before, ignoring after. C. Excludes before it is picked and mistakenly includes 3. D. Incorrectly claims all 3 statements are true. Statement 3 is not supported. Question 2. According to the passage, tomatoes are picked while they are still green because blank. A. Green tomatoes produce more ethylene gas than red tomatoes. B. Red tomatoes are more expensive than green tomatoes. C. Red tomatoes are damaged more easily during transit. D. Green tomatoes have better nutritional content than red tomatoes. The correct answer is C. Red tomatoes are damaged more easily during transit. The passage explains that green tomatoes are firmer than red ones, so they don't get damaged as easily when they're being moved from one place to another. Now let's see why the other answers are not the best choice. A. The passage never compares ethylene production of green versus red tomatoes. B. Cost differences are not mentioned. D. Nutritional comparisons between green and red tomatoes are not discussed. Question 3. The passage mentions all of the following as benefits of using ethylene gas, except that it blank. A. Keeps fruits in season all year long. B. Protects fruit from damage during transit. C. Improves the nutritional content of fruit. D. Makes produce cheaper for consumers. The correct answer is D. Makes produce cheaper for consumers. The passage does talk about how ethylene gas helps keep fruits available all year round, protects them during shipping, and might even make them more nutritious. But it never says that it makes fruits and vegetables cheaper. Here's why the other options are mentioned in the passage. A. Explicitly stated, using ethylene ensures fruit is available all year. B. Explicitly mentioned, firmer green produce gets less damaged. C. The passage suggests ethylene might also improve the nutritional quality. Question 4. What is the main difference between the final paragraph and the rest of the passage? A. The final paragraph has a persuasive tone. The rest of the passage is more objective and factual. B. The final paragraph presents a positive opinion about ethylene gas. The rest of the passage is more negative. C. The majority of the passage is written in a very formal tone. The final paragraph is more personal and casual. D. The majority of the passage is filled with scientific facts. The final paragraph contains only opinions. The correct answer is A. The final paragraph has a persuasive tone. The rest of the passage is more objective and factual. Most of the passage gives us facts about ethylene gas, but the last paragraph tries to convince us not to worry and points out the good things about it. Let's see why the others don't quite fit. B. The passage is not negative elsewhere. C. Tone shift is persuasive, not informal. D. The final paragraph still contains facts. For example, the 25% figure. Question 5. As used in the final paragraph, what is the best antonym for deteriorate? A. Finish. B. Balance. C. Improve. D. Combine. The correct answer is C. Improve. Deteriorate means something is getting worse. So the opposite of that is to improve, which means to get better. Let's look at why the other options aren't the best fit. A. Finish is unrelated to quality. B. Balance concerns equilibrium, not condition. D. Combine means join, not become better. Okay, are you ready to move on to the next reading comprehension? This time, it will be about container ships. Question 6. Why is a shirt mentioned in the opening paragraph? A. To show how container ships are helping to further the spread of globalization. B. To exemplify the type of good most container ships carry. C. To highlight how easy it is for ships to travel across the ocean. D. To demonstrate that many of the goods we buy weren't made in the country in which we live. The correct answer is D. To demonstrate that many of the goods we buy weren't made in the country in which we live. The author wants us to check the tag on our shirt to see where it was made. This helps us realize that a lot of the things we buy come from other countries. Let's see why the other answers are not the main reason. A. Globalization is implied, but the immediate purpose is to show foreign origin. B. A shirt is not an example of typical container ship cargo. C. The ease of ocean travel is not the focus of that sentence. Question 7. What conclusion can be made based on the information in the opening paragraph? A. It's almost impossible to buy goods that were made in the country in which we live. B. Foreign countries typically make better goods than those made in the country in which we live. C. Straightforward innovations can have significant results. D. Most great inventions are technologically advanced. The correct answer is C. Straightforward innovations can have significant results. Container ships are actually a pretty simple idea. They are ships that hold containers of the same size, but they've had a huge impact on shipping. This shows us that even simple ideas can be very important. Now let's see why the other answers aren't quite right. A. The paragraph never claims almost impossible. B. Quality comparisons are not discussed. D. It actually implies the opposite. The innovation is not highly technical. Question 8. Select the choice that correctly completes the sentence. According to the passage, container ships have significantly increased the blank of the shipping industry. A. Organization. B. Danger. C. Cost. D. All of the above. The correct answer is A. Organization. The passage emphasizes that containers make shipping much more organized because the containers are labeled and can be stacked easily. Let's find out why the other options are not the best answer. B. They increase security, not danger. C. The passage never says costs went up. D. Because only organization is stated as increasing, all of the above is wrong. Question 9. As used in paragraph 2, the word variation most nearly means A. Cost. B. Theft. C. Damage. D. Change. The correct answer is D. Change. Okay, so let's break this down. The paragraph you read earlier explains that cargo aboard container ships has lots of different types of goods altogether. So in this case, variation means change or differences, like how there are different types of toys in a toy box. Now, why aren't the other answers correct? A. Cost isn't really talked about in that part of the reading. B. Theft does get a mention later on, but it's not connected to the idea of variation. C. Damage isn't really linked to what variation means in the sentence either. Any questions so far? Good. Let's move on. Question 10. According to the passage, how are containers more secure than crates? A. They are stronger. B. They are heavier. C. They are harder to break into. D. All of the above. The correct answer here is D. All of the above. So the reading tells us that containers are stronger, heavier, and harder to break into when you compare them to crates. Because of all of these reasons, option D, all of the above, is the correct answer. Now let's see why the other answers aren't the best choice. A. Only mentions strength, but it misses the other important details. B. Only mentions that they're heavier. C. Only talks about how secure they are, but not about strength or weight. Question 11. As used in paragraph 3, the word susceptible most nearly means A. Adapted. B. Vulnerable. C. Attracted. D. Resistant. The correct answer is B. Vulnerable. In the context you read, susceptible to theft means that the goods were vulnerable or easily harmed or stolen. So vulnerable is the word that fits best here. Let's see why the others don't work. A. Adapted means changed to fit different conditions, and that doesn't really mean at risk. C. Attracted doesn't fit the idea of being exposed to danger. D. Resistant is actually the opposite of susceptible. Question 12. In paragraph 4, we learn that, quote, container ships and their containers are highly standardized. Which of the following choices accurately presents a similar example of standardization? A. A special type of glass is used to make bottles that will be transported to outer space. B. Train engines transition from coal to electricity to reduce airborne pollution. C. A set of windshield wiper replacement parts is made to fit almost any kind of car. D. A new type of reinforced steel gets incorporated into the construction of a unique, super long bridge. The correct answer is circa. A set of windshield wiper replacement parts is made to fit almost any kind of car. Standardization means making things the same or consistent. Think of it like this. Those windshield wiper parts that fit lots of different cars is a good example of standardization, just like those standard containers fit on any container ship. So let's see why the other answers don't fit. A. Special glass isn't about making something standard for many uses. B. Switching fuels is about changing technology, not making things standard. D. A unique bridge is not about making things uniform. Question 13. What part of speech is the word are in the sentence? Actually, that's an understatement. Container ships are gigantic. A. Noun. B. Adverb. C. Adjective. D. Verb. The correct answer is D. Verb. Remember, are is a form of the verb to be. It shows a state of being, like saying I am happy or they are tall. So why aren't the others right? A. Nouns are names of things, not action words. B. Adverbs describe verbs, but are is the verb. C. Adjectives describe nouns, they don't show action. All right, now we are moving on to the proofreading exercise. Question 14. Find the group of words with the spelling mistake. Organic food is unadulterated food produced without artificial chemicals or pesticides. Options. A. Organic food is B. Unadulterated food. C. Artificial chemicals. D. Or pesticides. E. None. Correct answer C. In option C, the word artificial is misspelled. It should be artificial. Now let's see why the others are not correct. Options A, B, and D are all spelled correctly. Question 15. Find the group of words with the spelling mistake. They wanted someone responsible to look after the place at nighttime. Options. A. They wanted someone. B. Responsible to look. C. After the place. D. At nighttime. E. None. Correct answer. D. Nighttime should usually be written as two words. Nighttime in very formal English. Although nighttime as one word is considered correct in many dictionaries, in this case, the mark suggests that D is the answer. Now let's see why the others are not correct. Options A, B, and C have no spelling mistakes. Question 16. Find the group of words with the spelling mistake. Several firms are responsible for the provision of cleaning services. Options. A. Several firms are B. Responsible for the C. Provision of cleaning. D. Services. E. None. Correct answer, B. The word responsible is a spelling mistake. It should be responsible. Now let's see why the others are not correct. Options A, C, and D are all correct. Slow. Question 17. Find the group of words with the spelling mistake. The purpose of the UN is the maintenance of international peace and security. Options: A, the purpose of the SIGAC. B, UN is the maintenance. C, of international peace. D, and security. E, thou. None. Correct answer: E, none. Explanation. In this sentence, there isn't any spelling mistake. Each and every word is spelled correctly. Why not the others? Because none of the options have any spelling errors. They're all good. Question 18. Find the group of words with the spelling mistake. My profession had an important influence in the formation of my character. Options: A, my profession had. B, an important influence. C, in the formation. D, of my character. E, none. Correct answer: A, my profession had. Explanation. Here, the word profession is misspelled. The correct spelling is profession, with just one F. Why not the others? Options B, C, and D are all spelled correctly, so they're not the ones we're looking for. Question 19. Find the group of words with the punctuation mistake. George wasn't feeling hungry. However, Paul was feeling absolutely famished. Options: A, George wasn't feeling hungry. B, however, Paul was. C, feeling absolutely famished. D, none. E, no punctuation mistake. Correct answer: B, however, Paul was. Explanation. In this case, we need a comma after however. It helps to separate the two parts of the sentence and make it easier to read. Why not the others? Options A and C don't have any punctuation problems. Question 20. Find the group of words with the punctuation mistake. Oh, gracious, cried Dorothy. Are you a real witch? Options: A, oh, gracious, cried Dorothy. B, are you a real witch? C, none. D, no punctuation mistake. E, underscore blank underscore. Correct answer: A, oh, gracious, cried Dorothy. Explanation. There should be a comma after gracious, and it needs to be inside the quotation marks. Why not the others? Option B is punctuated just right, so no problem there. Question 21. Find the group of words with the punctuation mistake. Alex bought a toy car. He played with it as soon as he got home. Options: A, Alex bought a toy car. B, he played with it as soon as he got home. C, none. D, no punctuation mistake. E, underscore blank underscore. Correct answer: B, he played with it as soon as he got home. Explanation. To connect these two ideas properly, we need a conjunction, like and, or some punctuation, like a semicolon, to separate them. Why not the others? Option A is perfectly fine as it is. Question 22. Find the group of words with the punctuation mistake. What's for tea? She asked. Delicious ants, her mom replied. Options: A, what's for tea? She asked. B, delicious ants. C, her mom replied. D, none. E, no punctuation mistake. Correct answer: E, no punctuation mistake. Explanation. Everything is correct in this sentence. The quotation marks and commas are all in the right places. Why not the others? Because there isn't any error in the punctuation. Question 23. Find the group of words with the punctuation mistake. Tom hated his mom's cooking soggy sprouts, smelly cabbage, and lumpy mashed potatoes. Options: A, Tom hated his mom's cooking. B, soggy sprouts, smelly cabbage. C, and lumpy mashed potatoes. D, none. E, no punctuation mistake. Correct answer: B, soggy sprouts, smelly cabbage. Explanation. After cooking, we should use a colon to introduce the list of things Tom didn't like. Why not the others? A, C, and D are all correct as they are. Question 24. Choose the best word or group of words to complete each sentence. Write the letter of the correct answer in the blank. She never lost her social poise. Beef, blank, awkward the situation. A, accepted. B, moreover. Circa, however. D, furthermore. E, never. Correct answer: C, however. Explanation. However is the best choice because it shows a contrast. Even though the situation was awkward, she stayed calm and composed. Why not the others? A, accepted doesn't show any contrast. Moreover means in addition to, so it doesn't fit here. D, furthermore is also used to add information, not to contrast. E, never would completely change the meaning of the sentence. Question 25. I blinked to brake suddenly, and the car behind ran into me. A. Not. B. Have. C. Was. D. Had. E. Being. The correct answer is D. Explanation. I had to brake suddenly correctly expresses that it was necessary to brake in the past, so you needed to stop quickly, and someone wasn't paying attention and bumped into you. Why not the others? A. Not just doesn't fit grammatically. You can't say not to brake. B. Have is present tense, but the sentence is talking about something that already happened. C. Was would need more words after it to make sense, like I was going to brake. Being also doesn't quite fit here. It doesn't make sense in this structure. Question 26. Max Blank very much liked to pass the 11 plus and go to Bexley Grammar. A. Is. B. Was. C. Wanting. D. Wanted. E. Willing. The correct answer is D. Explanation. Wanted matches the past tense of the sentence and expresses Max's desire properly. So Max really wished he could pass that test. Why not the others? A. Is present tense, but we're talking about something in the past. B. Was needs a verb like to afterward, like was wanting to. C. Wanting would make the sentence not grammatically correct. E. Willing changes what the sentence means. It's not about being willing, but about desiring something. Question 27. They came here and searched blank new markets for their products. A. On. B. From. C. By. D. Of. E. With. The correct answer is D. Explanation. The correct phrase is in search of, which means they were looking for something. Why not the others? A. On new markets doesn't quite make sense. B. From new markets changes the meaning in a way that doesn't fit. C. By new markets also changes the meaning. E. With new markets isn't the correct way to phrase it. Question 28. I saw a man shouting at a driver blank car was blocking the street. A. Whose. B. Who is. C. Whose. D. Whom. E. Who'd. The correct answer is A. Explanation. Whose shows ownership or possession. It is the driver's car that's blocking the street. Why not the others? B. Who is doesn't show possession. C. Whose means who is, which isn't correct here. D. Whom is used for the object of a verb, not for showing who owns something. E. Who'd means who would, which doesn't fit the sentence. All right, let's move on to the math section. Question 1. Match the clock face to the same time on a digital clock. Options. A. 11:10. B. 2:55. Circa 1:40. D. 8:10. E. 6:35. Clock 1. The correct answer is C. Explanation. The clock shows 1 hour and 40 minutes. The hour hand is a little past the 1, and the minute hand points at the 8, which means 40 minutes. Why not the others? A. 11:10. The hands would be in a different position. B. 2:55. The clock would show nearly 3 o'clock. D. 8:10. The hour and minute hands would be in another position. E. 6:35 is much later in the day. Question 2. Match the clock face to the same time on a digital clock. Options. A. 11:10. B. 2:55. Circa 1:40. D. 8:10. E. 6:35. Clock 2. The correct answer is E. Explanation. The clock shows 6:35. The hour hand is between the 6 and 7, and the minute hand is on the 7, which means 35 minutes. Why not the others? A. 11:10 is wrong. B. 2:55 is wrong. Circa 1:40 is wrong. D. 8:10 is wrong. Match the clock face to the same time on a digital clock. Here are your options. A. 11:10. Bug. 2:55, circa 1:40, D 8:10, E 6:35. Clock 3. The correct answer is A 11:10. Explanation. The clock shows 11:10. The hour hand, which is the shorter hand, is just after the 11. The minute hand, the longer hand, is on the 2. Since each number on the clock represents 5 minutes, the minute hand on the 2 means it's 10 minutes past the hour. Why not the others? Bug. 2:55 would mean the hour hand is nearly at the 3, and the minute hand would be pointing at the 11. Circa 1:40 would have the hour hand a little past the 1, and the minute hand on the 8. D 8:10 is not correct because the hour hand would be a little past the 8 and the minute hand on the 2. E 6:35 would have the hour hand quite a bit past the 6 and the minute hand on the 7. All right, let's move on to question 4. Question 4. Habib arrives at the pool at 5:20 p.m. on Saturday. How many minutes is it before the pool closes? Options. A. 20. Bug. 30, circa 40, D 45, E 50. The correct answer is C 40. Explanation. The pool closes at 6 p.m. To figure out how many minutes are left, we subtract the time Habib arrives from the time the pool closes. So 6 p.m. minus 5:20 p.m. equals 40 minutes. Why not the others? A. 20 minutes is too short. Bug. 30 minutes is too short. D 45 minutes is too much. E 50 minutes is too much. Okay, let's dive into question 5. Question 5. Sasha pays £3 to hire a motorboat. She goes out at 3:20 p.m. By what time must she return? Options. A. 3:50 a.m. Bug. 3:50 p.m. Circa 4:20 p.m. D 4:20 a.m. E 4 p.m. The correct answer is B 3:50 p.m. Explanation. The motorboat hire costs £1.50 for 15 minutes. Since Sasha paid £3, that means she hired the boat for 30 minutes because 15 minutes plus 15 minutes is 30 minutes. So we add 30 minutes to her starting time. 3:20 p.m. plus 30 minutes equals 3:50 p.m. Why not the others? A. Wrong because it would be a.m., not page m. Remember, a.m. is in the morning and p.m. is in the afternoon or evening. Circa 4:20 p.m. is too late. D 4:20 a.m. is the wrong time format. E 4 p.m. is too late. Let's move on to question 6. Question 6. One of these watches is 3 minutes fast. The other watch is 4 minutes slow. What is the correct time? Options. A. 11:58. Bug. 11:59, circa 12 o'clock. D 12:01. E 12:02. The correct answer is E 12:02. Explanation. One watch shows 11:58, which is slow by 4 minutes. To find the real time, we add those 4 minutes. 11:58 plus 4 minutes equals 12:02. The other watch shows 12:05, which is fast by 3 minutes. So we subtract 3 minutes to get the real time. 12:053 minutes equals 12:02. Because both watches agree that the time is 12:02, we can be certain that the answer is 12:02. Why not the others? A. 11:58 is slow. Bug. 11:59 is too early. Circa 12 o'clock is too early. D 12:01 is too early. Now, let's tackle question 7. Question 7. This was the time on Celine's watch when she set off for a walk. What time did the watch show 20 minutes before this? Options. A. 9:50. Bug. 9:55. Circa 9:57. D 10 o'clock. E 10:02. The correct answer is B. 9:55. Explanation. Celine's watch shows 10:15. To find out what time it was 20 minutes before, we subtract 20 minutes from 10:15. So 15 to 20 minutes equals 9:55. Why not the others? A. 9:50 is too early. Circa 9:57 is too late. D 10 o'clock is too late. E 10:02 is too late. Let's sprint to question 8. Question 8. Who finished the 100 meters race in second place? Options. A. Elise. Bug. Jake C. Terry. D. Neil, E. Barry. The correct answer is C. Terry. Explanation. From the times, first place, Elise, 15.9s. Second place, Terry, 16.8s. So Terry is second. Why not the others? A. Elise is first. Bug. Jake is fifth. D. Neil is third. E. Barry is fourth. Question 9. In the 800 meters race, how many seconds did Barry finish ahead of Elise? Was it 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7 seconds? The correct answer is C. 5 seconds. Here's how we figure that out. Barry's time was 2 minutes and 57 seconds. That's the same as 177 seconds. Elise's time was 3 minutes and 2 seconds, which is 182 seconds. To find the difference, we subtract Barry's time from Elise's time, 182 minus 177, which equals 5 seconds. So why not the other answers? Well, 3 and 4 seconds are too small, and 6 and 7 seconds are too large. Question 10. How much longer did Claire take than Tim? Was it 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7 minutes? The correct answer is C. 5 minutes. Claire took 1 hour and 25 minutes, and Tim took 1 hour and 20 minutes. To find the difference, we subtract Tim's time from Claire's time. 1 hour 25 minutes minus 1 hour 20 minutes equals 5 minutes. The other answers? 3 and 4 minutes are too small, while 6 and 7 minutes are too large. Question 11. What is the mode of these scores? 1, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 4, 1. Is the mode 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5? The correct answer is D, 4. Remember, the mode is the number that shows up most often in a set of numbers. In this list, 4 appears 4 times, which is more than any other number. So why not the others? 1 appears 3 times, while 2, 3, and 5 each appear only once. Question 12. Let's work out the mean of the same scores. 1, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 4, 1. Is the mean 1.5, 2.4, 2.8, 2.9, or 3.1? The correct answer is D, 2.9. To find the mean, we add up all the numbers and then divide by the number of scores. The sum of the numbers is 29, and there are 10 scores. So 29 divided by 10 is 2.9. As for the other options, 1.5 and 2.4 are too low. 2.8 is close but not quite right, and 3.1 is too high. Question 13. Now let's find the range of the scores. 1, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 4, 1. Is the range 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7? The correct answer is B, 4. The range is the difference between the highest and lowest numbers. In this case, the highest number is 5, and the lowest number is 1. So 5 minus 1 equals 4. That means 3 is too small, while 5, 6, and 7 are all too large. Question 14. Find the median of 5, 6, 8, 10, 13, 19, 24. Remember, the median is the middle number in a set of numbers. A, 8. B, 6, circa 13. D, 24. E, 10. The correct answer is E, which is 10. Here's why. The median is the middle number. So first, we arrange the numbers in order, which is already done for us. 5, 6, 8, 10, 13, 19, 24. The middle number is 10. There are 3 numbers before 10 and 3 numbers after 10. Why not the others? A8 is too early in the list. B6 is also too early. C13 is after the middle number. D24 is the last number. Question 15. What is the modal shoe size? A, 0. B, 3, circa 4. D, 5. E, 6. The correct answer is D, which is 5. The tallest bar on the bar chart is at shoe size 5. Modal size means the one that occurs most often. So shoe size 5 is the most common. Why not the others? A0 is not modal. meaning it doesn't appear most often. B3 is smaller than 5 on the bar chart. C4 is less frequent than 5. E6 is not modal. Question 16. On what day was the lowest temperature recorded? A. Monday. B. Tuesday. C. Wednesday. D. Friday. E. No day. The correct answer is C, which is Wednesday. The lowest temperature was -6 degrees Celsius on Wednesday. Remember, with negative numbers, the further away from 0, the lower the temperature. Why not the others? A. Monday was -3 degrees Celsius. B. Tuesday was -1 degree Celsius. D. Friday is not shown on our chart. E. No day is wrong because we do have the temperature for Wednesday. Question 17. Which number is 4 less than 1? A. 4. B. -3. Circa 2. D. 3. E. 4. The correct answer is B, which is -3. The formula is 1 minus 4 equals -3. Why not the others? A4 is not less. It is more. C2 is the wrong operation. D3 is the wrong calculation. E4 is a repetition of the first option. Question 18. Which number is 2 more than -8? A. -10. B. -8. C. -6. D. 6. E. 10. The correct answer is C, which is -6. The formula, -8 plus 2 equals -6. Why not the others? A -10 is smaller, not bigger. B. -8 is the same, not more. D6 is too large. E10 is too large. Question 19. What is 3 minus 7? A. 3. B. -3, circa 4. D minus 4. E minus 10. The correct answer is D, which is -4. The formula, 3 minus 7 equals -4. Why not the others? A3 is not -7. B minus 3 is wrong. C4 is the wrong direction. E minus 10 is too low. Question 20. At 9 p.m., the temperature in Bristol was 2 degrees Celsius. At 3 a.m., the temperature was -6 degrees Celsius. How many degrees did the temperature fall? A. -8. B. 8. C -4. D -6. E 4. The correct answer is B, which is 8. From 2 degrees Celsius to -6 degrees Celsius, the fall means 2 minus -6 equals 2 plus 6 equals 8 degrees fall. Remember that subtracting a negative number is the same as adding a positive number. Why not the others? A -8 is the wrong sign. C -4 is the wrong calculation. D -6 is not correct. E4 is too small. Question 21. Round 3,925 to the nearest thousand. A. 3,930. B. 4,100. Circa 3,000. D. 4,000. E. 3,900. The correct answer is D, which is 4,000. 3,925 is nearer to 4,000 than 3,000. The rule is, if the number is 5 or higher, we round up. Why not the others? A. 3,930 is not the nearest thousand. B. 4,100 is too high. C. 3,000 is too low. E. 3,900 is too low. Question 22. Round 3,925 to the nearest hundred. A. 3,930. B. 3,900. Circa 4,000. D. 3,920. E. 2,926. The correct answer is B, which is 3,900. 3,925 rounded to the nearest hundred is 3,900 because the tens digit, which is 2, is less than 5, so we round down. Why not the others? A. 3,930 is not a multiple of 100. C. 4,000 is the nearest thousand, not the nearest hundred. D. 3,920 is wrong rounding. E. 2,926 is completely wrong. Question 23. Write the number 20,329 in figures. A. 20,239. B. 23,239. Circa 20,329. D. 202,930. E. 23,320. The correct answer is C, which is 20,329. The pattern shows the first 3 triangular numbers. We need to write down the next 2. The options are 10 and 16, 12 and 9, 13 and 15, 11 and 14, or 10 and 15. The correct answer is E, 10 and 15. Triangular numbers are made by adding dots. Pattern 1 has 1 dot, pattern 2 has 3 dots, and pattern 3 has 6 dots. To find the next triangular numbers, we continue adding. The fourth triangular number has 10 dots, 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4. The fifth triangular number has 15 dots, 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. So why aren't the other options correct? Well, 16, 9, 13, 11, and 14 are not triangular numbers in this sequence. To figure out the next number in this sequence, 343,216, 125, 64, and then a question mark. So what comes next? Our options are A, 32, B, 27 circa 25, D16, and E11. The correct answer here is B, 27. Now let's break down why. If we look closely at the sequence, we'll notice something special about each number. These are all cubes. Remember, when we cube a number, we multiply it by itself and then multiply it by itself again. So let's look at our explanation. 7 cubed, which can also be written as 7 to the power of 3, or 7 to the power of 3, is 7 times 7 times 7, which equals 343. 6 cubed, or 6 to the power of 3, is 6 times 6 times 6, which equals 216. 5 cubed, or 5 to the power of 3, is 5 times 5 times 5, which equals 125. 4 cubed, or 4 to the power of 3, is 4 times 4 times 4, which equals 64. So what's the next number? Well, we're counting down, so the next one would be 3 cubed, or 3 to the power of 3, which is 3 times 3 times 3, and that equals 27. That's why B is the correct answer. Now let's quickly see why the other answers aren't correct. A, 32 is not a cube number. There's no whole number that you can multiply by itself 3 times to get 32. Circa 25 is also not a cube. It's actually a square, since 5 times 5 is 25, but we're looking for cubes. D16 is too small to fit in our sequence. E11 is also not a cube number, so that's it. The answer is B, 27. Question 26. How long is the journey from Southville to Jamestown? A, 34 minutes. Bug, 27 minutes. Circa 25 minute. D, 16 minutes. E, 11 minutes. The correct answer is A, 34 minutes. Let's see why. We know the Southville departure time is 7:04 a.m. and the Jamestown arrival time is 7:38 a.m. To figure out how long the journey took, we subtract the departure time from the arrival time. So 7:38 minus 7:04 equals 34 minutes. As for why the other answers are incorrect, bug. 27 minutes is too short. Circa 25 minutes is too short. D16 minutes is much too short. E11 minutes is much too short. Question 27. Lenny lives in Jamestown and works in Lincoln. He works Monday to Friday. Lenny travels to work each day by train. How long does Lenny spend on the train each week? A, 3 hours and 35 minutes. Bug, 3 hours and 50 minutes. Circa 3 hours and 25 minutes. D, 3 hours and 55 minutes. E, 3 hours and 20 minutes. The correct answer is B, 3 hours and 50 minutes. Here's how we solve it. First, we need to know the journey time from Jamestown to Lincoln. The train leaves Jamestown at 7:38 a.m. and arrives in Lincoln at 8:01 a.m. That's a 23-minute trip. Now, Lenny has to go to work and come back home, so that's 2 trips each day. 23 minutes times 2 is 46 minutes per day. Since Lenny works Monday to Friday, that's 5 days a week. So 46 minutes times 5 days equals 230 minutes. Finally, we convert 230 minutes into hours and minutes. 230 minutes is 3 hours and 50 minutes. Why not the others? A, 3 hours 35 minutes is too short. Circa 3 hours 25 minutes is too short. D, 3 hours 55 minutes is too long. E, 3 hours 20 minutes is too short. Question 28. John went on holiday on Thursday, July 28th. He returned home on August 23rd. How long was his holiday? Include both July 28th and August 23rd. A. 20 days. Bug. 24 days, circa 26 days. D. 27 days. E. 25 days. The correct answer is D. 27 days. Okay, let's break it down. From July 28th to July 31st, that's 4 days. Then we count all the days in August until the 23rd, which is 23 days. So we add 4 days plus 23 days, which gives us a total of 27 days. Why not the others? A. 20 days is too short. Bug. 24 days is too short. Circa 26 days is close but too small. E. 25 days is too small. Question 29. Liverpool played Man City in a football match. The match kicked off at 3 p.m. They played 45 minutes each half. They had a halftime break of 15 minutes. At what time did the match end? A. 5 p.m. Bug. 5:15 p.m. Circa 4:45 p.m. D. 4:50 a.m. E. 5:05 p.m. The correct answer is circa 4:45 p.m. All right, soccer fans, let's figure this out. The first half lasts 45 minutes, so 3 p.m. plus 45 minutes takes us to 3:45 p.m. Then there's a 15-minute halftime break, which brings us to 4 p.m. The second half is another 45 minutes. Adding that to 4 p.m. gives us a final time of 4:45 p.m. Why not the others? A. 5 p.m. is too late. Bug. 5:15 p.m. is too late. D. 4:50 a.m. is wrong. Wrong time of day. E. 5:05 p.m. is too late. Question 30. What is the median weight of the dogs? A. 14. Bug. 9. Circa 30. D. 16. E. 8. The correct answer is A. 14. Okay, class. Remember that the median is the middle number in a set of numbers when they are arranged in order. Here, the weights of the dogs are 8 kilograms, 9 kilograms, 14 kilograms, 16 kilograms, 30 kilogram. The middle number is 14 kilogram. Why not the others? Bug. 9 is not the middle. Circa 30 is largest. D16 is second highest. E8 is the smallest. Question 31. The mean of 5 dogs is 10. What is their total? A. 20. Bug. 30. Circa 35. D. 45. E. 50. The correct answer is E. 50. Remember, to find the mean, we add up all the numbers and then divide by the number of numbers. But here, we need to find the total, so we use the formula mean times number of dogs equals total. In this case, 10 times 5 equals 50. Why not the others? A. 20 is too small. Bug. 30 is too small. Circa 35 is too small. D. 45 is too small. Question 32. What is the value of A? A. 5. Bug. 6. Circa 7. D. 8. E. 9. The correct answer is A. 5. This one is a bit like a puzzle. We know the range is 4, and the median is 8. The cards are 5, A, B, C, D. Since 5 is the smallest card and the range is 4, that means the largest card, D, must be 9, because 5 plus 4 equals 9. Also, we know that the median, the middle card, is 8, so B equals 8. Question 33. What is the value of C? Our options are A. 5, B. 6, circa 7, D8, or E9. The correct answer is D8. Here's why. Remember our hint, B equals 7 and D equals 9. Since the cards are in order, C has to be 8. It comes right after B and before D. Let's look at why the other answers aren't correct. A. 5 is just too small of a number. B. 6 is also too small. Circa 7 is also too small. And E.9 is what D equals, not C. All right, moving on to question 34. Frome Rovers started a football season on minus 10 points. Each win is worth 3 points, each draw is worth 1 point, and each loss is 0 points. Over the season, Frome Rovers won 11 matches, drew 6 matches, and lost 3. How many points did they finish with at the end of the season? Our options are A. 25, B. 26, circa 27, D28, or E29. The correct answer is E29. Let's break it down using a formula. They start with minus 10 points. For wins, they have 11 wins times 3 points per win, which equals 33 points. For draws, they have 6 draws times 1 point per draw, which equals 6 points. They get 0 points for losses, so we don't need to calculate that. Now, add it all up. Minus 10 plus 33 plus 6 equals 29 total points. Why not the others? A. 25 is too small. B. 26 is too small. Circa 27 is too small. And D28 is too small. Next up, question 35. Fiona throws 8 balls. Each hit is worth 5 points, and each miss is worth minus 3 points. Fiona hits the target with 5 balls. Our options are A. 15, B. 16, circa 17, D18, or E19. The correct answer is B. 16. Here's the explanation. For hits, she got 5 hits times 5 points per hit, which equals 25 points. For misses, she had 3 misses times minus 3 points per miss, which equals minus 9 points. So the formula is 25 plus minus 9 equals 16 points. Why not the others? A. 15 is too low, circa 17 is too high, D18 is too high, and E19 is too high. And finally, question 36. At a football match between City and Rovers, there were 4,486 fans. Write 4,486 rounded to the nearest thousand. The options are A. 4,400, B. 4,000, circa 3,400, D. 4,480, or E. 4,500. The correct answer is B. 4,000. Here's why. The thousands digit is 4, and the next digit is 4. Because that next digit, 4, is less than 5, we round down. So 4,486 rounded to the nearest thousand equals 4,000. Let's see why the others aren't right. A. 4,400 is the wrong rounding. Circa 3,400 is too small. D. 4,480 is rounded to the nearest hundred, not thousand. And E. 4,500 would be rounding up, which isn't correct in this case. And that brings us to the end of our Y5 Mini Mock 6 video walkthrough.